Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. I do not feel particularly great, so I apologize if I sound any different or worse or whatnot. We will still have our live show, though, on Thursday. We will power through and make sure we do that for you guys. Hit that sub button to tune in for that and all of the videos here at the Cowboys Report. We're going to begin with some news. Then we'll get into the ESPN 2-round mock draft that Matt Miller posted. Zack Martin at the Super Bowl, or I should say Super Bowl week, spoke about his future, which still remains uncertain. Here's what Martin said. First off, I want to try to get healthy. Here in the next month, 6 weeks, me and my wife have been talking about it. Right now, I'm focused on getting healthy and seeing how I feel with this ankle kind of repaired and whether or not I'm going to go out and try to go again. That timeline makes sense because the Zack Martin contract is set to void for the Cowboys on March 13th. Now, there's nothing stopping either side from agreeing to say, hey, let's bump that void date back if we need to. Doesn't happen very often, mostly because by then you should know, which again is 5 to 6 weeks away at this point. Also worth noting, we'll spend more time on this next week, Tank Lawrence and Brandon Cooks deals, all void in mid-February per over the cap. Martin also said this, what he's weighing, just mentally if I'm ready to. I know what it takes to be an elite player in this league and what all goes into it. I think I just got to get my head mentally around if I want to commit to that for another year or not. I think I've done a nice job in my career to really focus on what I was doing at that time. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Still trying to figure out what the next chapter in my life looks like. Whether that be playing football here in Dallas, playing football somewhere else, retiring, whatever that may be. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm a believer, especially at the elite level that Zack Martin wants to play at. If you don't know, I think you actually do know. And I think that answer is I'm going to hang it up and call it a career. Which I know there is at least part of Zack Martin who doesn't want to give up his entire life. It's been football, right? I know there's part of him that doesn't want to end the way things ended last year where he just wasn't the same guy and he struggled and he just looked like he was never quite the Zack Martin we all know. But he's entering his age 35 season. And at some point, you just don't have it anymore. And I would have questions as to whether or not he's going to be able to get it back at this point in his career. Now, Martin's deal is designed to set up a retirement or a post-June 1st release and spread the dead money out over 2 years. The Cowboys have prepared for this. It's kind of built in. We look at over the cap and Spotrac. The Zack Martin contract numbers are kind of built into that already in terms of the retirement and spreading it out over 2 years. So predictions. Do you think Zack Martin retires as a Cowboy and eventually becomes a first-ballot Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned? But does that retirement happen this year? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote at the pinned comments of today's show. The ad comes here on YouTube. Just fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there. Type in Y for yes, N for no. Let's now break down ESPN's 2-round NFL mock draft as it relates, of course, to the Dallas Cowboys. First, all the picks in round one. Dual Carter goes to Tennessee. Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Mason Graham off the board. Will Johnson, Shadur Sanders, nothing overly shocking yet. Will Campbell, Jalen Walker, maybe players you have some interest in, they're gone. Tet McMillan goes number 9 to the Saints. A couple picks away there from that one happening. If it gets past 9, it's possible. I'm just saying it's possible at that point he slides to 12. Kelvin Banks and Josh Simmons, a couple extra offensive linemen off the board. So Ashton Jeanty is there. And the Cowboys take Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, who I like, but 12 as the number 2 receiver in the class is a little bit rich for me. That is a expensive price point to invest in a wide receiver. Now, maybe we'd all feel better if the Cowboys just took the number 2 receiver and that's with the burden, okay. Matt Miller thinks that's Matthew Golden. Here's the argument from Matt Miller. Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty is the popular pick here in early mock drafts, and he could be the splash the Cowboys owner Jerry Jones loves to make. But passing on a receiver at number 12 would be risky, given the deep class of running backs. For context, I don't have a single receiver ranked between number 26 and 58 on my board, but I do have 5 backs. First off, when was the last time Jerry Jones did the splashy move in the draft? I don't think we can actually count CeeDee Lamb because that was just the best player on the board. That was just a no-brainer pick. Going with the splashy player, that's not what Jerry Jones does in the draft. At this point, I'll say it, I think it's lazy to continuously say, Jerry Jones loves to make a splash. He loves attention. He does that through the media, but they don't make splashes. Wildcat and Jerry ain't here no more. So I am tired of seeing that reason given when it's just not how the Cowboys do business. More to come on Golden specifically here. But PrizePicks is the sponsor of today's show. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. The big game is almost here, and it is now or never to get in on the final football game of the season. You can take advantage of PrizePicks free square. That is Patrick Mahomes, a half passing yard. It's a no-brainer. Take the more than. I'm also adding Saquon Barkley more than rushing yards, and I love the idea of a Xavier Worthy sweep happening in this game, or reverse happening in this game. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, back to Golden here and what Miller argues for. Golden is a surging prospect. He started the season as Texas' number 2 receiver, became its go-to target late in the season and in the CFP, finishing with 58 catches, 987 yards, 9 scores. His yards after catchability and speed would provide a perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb. I kind of think that last sentence describes Luther Burden better, actually. Although I like Golden. Golden will probably end up being, I'm not fully there yet and testing matters to me. I would not be surprised if Golden ended up being a top 32 player on my board. He was great this year for Texas. Shout out Sark for seeing 400 yards at Houston and going, this guy's going to be good. They nailed that eval there at Texas. I just get hesitant about 12. Like if I've got all 3 receivers and I'm not taking Genty, why wouldn't I trade down? That's a prime try to trade down scenario. Genty was on the board. All the receivers were there, and none of them, by the way, went until outside the top 20. Or to the Bucs, I should say. Abuka, Burden, Mykel Williams. You might need a bigger edge-setting defensive end if you lose and Tank Lawrence and maybe don't trust Marshawn Nealon. Jahdae Barron's one of my favorite guys in this class. And in general, once you get outside some of those top 7, top 8 guys, the guys that are going to be like late first-round grades are going to vary, and there's a bunch of second-round grades. So this is how you end up getting like, hey, wide receiver 2 went 12. That makes sense. But the wide receiver 2 grade and the wide receiver 4 grade might be very similar, and wide receiver 4 might go 15, 20 picks later. That's the kind of chaos that could happen in this particular draft. So give me your one-word reaction to drafting Matthew Golden. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Other round 2 picks here, because there's a 2-round mock draft. Donovan Ezeraku, Jack Sawyer, some edges off the board. Marion Hampton would have been really nice at 44, I'll be honest. That's the second back taken in this mock draft. Jackson Dart and Quinn Ewers go 40 and 42. So, yay, quarterbacks go. Pushes players down. Would have liked Tyreek Williams a lot at 44. I think he fits what the Cowboys could use right now. Gray Zabel is a very fun offensive lineman. Could play all 5 spots. And then at pick 44, trigger warning. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami, Florida, taken by Matt Miller. I think tight end is a sneaky need. You know, we'll post our team needs video. It's on there. But another second-round tight end, look, I have trauma. This is my trauma speaking. That pick hasn't worked out in a long time for Dallas. So they've tried several times with the second-round tight end. Now, I like Arroyo. But the argument from Matt Miller, the deep running back class allows Dallas a chance to keep waiting at that position. Getting the rising Arroyo here to pair with Golden in round 1 completely changes the Cowboys' offense, though. Tight end Jake Ferguson will be a free agent after next season, and Arroyo is a big red zone target at 6'4", 251. I will preface by saying I like Arroyo. He'll probably have maybe a little bit later grade than where he went there. But tight end in round 2, with all my other needs right now, grade this mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. This kind of shows the issues I have here. That you have a lot of needs. You would like to get an offensive lineman in some capacity, or at least trust what you have up front. You need to get a receiver, a running back, defensive lineman, probably multiple up front. I've got no 4th-round pick. I've got 3 picks in the top, 145, whatever it is exactly. To spend one of those on a tight end in year 1 who might not play that much, I don't know if that's great asset management, because unless you spend money in free agency, you have to do that. Now, look, Arroyo was a bit of a one-year wonder. He was injured a lot earlier in his career, but he had a great season. I think he moves really well. He's an athletic. He fits the seam stretcher mold that I think the Cowboys like at tight end. I think Dak likes at tight end. But I had guys on the board that I would have liked. If Siobhan Revell was a classic round 2 Cowboys pick, would have been a first-round pick if he's there somehow in round 2, coming off an ACL tear. I'd rather invest in that sneaky need than go tight end. TJ Sanders was the best DT on the board. Nick Scorton was there. Both Ohio State backs, Caleb Johnson. With this way this mock draft sets up, I'm having big holes on my roster unless the Cowboys actually spend elsewhere in free agency.